Woodstock 99 was meant to honor the original festival's message of peace, but what it delivered was 3 days of fire, violence, and corporate greed. Promoters slapped the Woodstock name on it to cash in on nostalgia, but this wasn't 1969 anymore, it was 1999, and the vibe had shifted. The lineup was packed with the loudest, angriest acts of the late 90s. Korn, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, Metallica, and DMX. It wasn't peace and love, it was pure chaos, soaked in sweat, testosterone, and bad decisions.
We went on and it was an amazing show. The first show was it's one of the highlights of my whole career. I'd never seen that many people and everybody was having a good time and there was no bullshit going on that night. It just got progressively worse because the situation out there, water was $10. The outhouses were overfilling and shit, piss was everywhere. It got really, really bad out there. So I understand why everybody got pissed and started rioting. It wasn't a good setup.
This was the Fight Club generation, angry, disillusioned, and done pretending. Music had traded flowers and good vibes for savage aggression and brutal moshing.
Well, it was a combination of many things that weekend. You got the biggest bands in the world. James Brown kicked off the show. Alanis Morissette was there. The list goes on and on. So then you mix the bands at the time that were very angsty, like Limp Bizkit and Korn and Kid Rock. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about those moments. They get the crowds riled up.
Even Red Hot Chili Peppers frontman Anthony Kiedis said it himself. By the final night, it was clear that this festival had nothing in common with the original Woodstock. This was just a cash grab. The chaos wasn't a surprise, it was a countdown.
Meanwhile, everyone else is like, punching each other out and like, bro culture was like in full force.
Limp Bizkit showed up to Woodstock as nu metal's loudest middle finger. Their album Significant Other had just exploded, fueled by frat boy anthems like Nookie and Break Stuff.
Hey, so you're going to be playing Woodstock this weekend.
Yeah.
Now tell me how that works. What's the life of a rock star like? In other words, you get to, would they fly you into Woodstock?
Well, our tour bus takes us in, but if the traffic's too bad, then they'll helicopter us in.
Nice.
You couldn't turn on MTV's TRL without seeing Fred Durst in his red Yankees cap barking into the mic like your pissed off older cousin. While Britney and Backstreet Boys kept things glossy, Limp Bizkit made it loud, messy, and confrontational.
Gary was explaining to me like the key slot is like 8 o'clock Saturday night, and you got that one.
Us, Rage, and Metallica. Not going right after Alanis Morissette. That's going to be funny.
That'll be good, actually.
Yeah.
But what a good lineup, though.
The band hit the East Stage at prime time, 8 p.m. on Saturday night, right as the sun was going down and the crowd was fully cooked from the heat and beer. Before them, a much softer vibe, Counting Crows, Alanis Morissette, and Dave Matthews Band.
Like, they brought us there. They know what we do. Are they, the promoters?
You want the worst? Well, you got the worst. The one, the only, Limp Bizkit.
MTV's live feed said it all. A sea of sweaty, mostly male fans pressed against each other, just waiting for a reason to explode. Limp Bizkit was exactly what this crowd had come to see.
We didn't, like, for Woodstock, for us, it was just, like, normal, like we were doing our show.
By twilight, Limp Bizkit was on stage and things were about to get unhinged. At first, it looked like any wild rock show. Loud, chaotic, but mostly controlled.
Woodstock, you're so far away from the audience because there's like press and then there's the camera that's on tracks, like that runs back and forth across the stage, and then there's photographers past that, and then a huge gap, and then the crowd. So the crowd's like, you know, we're 60, 70 feet away from the first barricade.
Yeah, hey, they want to ask us to ask you to mellow out a little bit.
Then they played a cover of Ministry's Thieves, a brutal industrial track that hit way heavier than anything on the radio, and the crowd snapped. It was like a scene out of Mad Max, pure, sweaty, shirtless mayhem.
How many people here really like NSYNC?
The breaking point hit exactly when you'd expect.
How many people here ever woke up one morning and just decided it wasn't one of those days and you're gonna break some shit?
During break stuff. As soon as the breakdown dropped, the crowd lost its mind. MTV's footage shows fans ripping giant plywood panels off sound towers, surfing on them, hurling them, or smashing whatever was nearby.
It exploded.
Yeah.
And
so
physically,
you were
violently, it just got out of hand.
It stopped being a concert and turned into a demolition derby. Hundreds were hurt. It got so bad that security evacuated the sound tower staff just to keep them from getting crushed. At one point, Durst's mic feed was cut, possibly by engineers trying to stop the madness, but he just kept going. As the festival spiraled into chaos, Fred Durst climbed atop a ripped-off piece of plywood and surfed the crowd, still singing, still performing as if the riot around him was part of the show.
Woodstock 1999!
When Limp Bizkit's set finally ended, they left behind more than just noise.
I remember getting off the stage and having some policemen with my manager come around me and say, "Fred, I think you kind of incited a riot." They started ripping down buildings and the scaffolding, and that's the plywood you were surfing on. That wasn't from walkways going to the restroom. They were tearing down things, and there's people getting hurt. I go, I didn't see any of that. Everybody I saw was having an amazing time.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I didn't know. I had a lot of friends there, and a girl.
We're looking at a sea of people. You know, you can't like focus in on little things.
And like, I'm
playing. We're playing songs. The audience is like really far away. Like the barricade between the stage and the audience. I mean, the stage.
The rest of Saturday was a downward spiral. At the rave hangar, Fatboy Slim's DJ set came to a terrifying stop when someone drove a van into the dance floor. Inside, staff found an unconscious girl sexually assaulted. The chaos wasn't isolated. It was everywhere. By Sunday, the place was boiling with rage. When the Red Hot Chili Peppers played that night, the festival finally snapped. Fires everywhere. Vendor tents torched. ATMs destroyed. Trucks in flames. It took riot police to shut it all down. Millions in damages. Dozens hurt. And in the fallout, everyone pointed at Limp Bizkit like they lit the match. Fred Durst didn't do much to clean up the mess. He offered no apology, no statement, no attempt to distance himself from the chaos.
Bizkit is going off stage. Fred, have you ever seen anything like that in your life?
I can tell you, I've never done anything like that in my life.
How scary was it for you up there when they started ripping that place apart and they started taking the plywood off the towers and stuff?
Oh my God. Dude, it's not our fault. That's all I can say.
But the media saw it differently. In the aftermath, Limp Bizkit's name became shorthand for everything that went wrong at Woodstock 99. News reports couldn't stop linking them to the violence, and even other musicians started pointing fingers.
Fred with his like, come on, let's break stuff, that song, him doing that, it just sent it over the top, and that's when all that stuff happened. There was people hurt, people getting beat up, hit, all this craziness. He instigated the whole damn thing. I was right there watching it.
Like it or not, Durst had become the poster boy for the festival's collapse.
We didn't do anything different at our show. That we did the same thing we do at every show. We just do what we do, and it was nothing different for that day.
Let's get this straight. Limp Bizkit didn't cause the riots. The worst chaos, fires, looting, full-blown mayhem, happened more than 24 hours after their set. They weren't even on the grounds when things truly imploded. It was during the Red Hot Chili Peppers encore, after a sea of lit candles turned into bonfires. But in the days that followed, none of that mattered. The headlines needed a villain, and Limp Bizkit fit the role perfectly.
And also the way the media spun it, like, Woodstock's burning down, and that's us playing break stuff, and then the fires that happened the next day. They were like intercutting that footage together.
Media, man.
So
Is that the same?
Woodstock 99 was never built to succeed. It was built to make money and to make it fast.
You know, they shouldn't have. All they did on that show too was advertised all the new metal and the heavy bands and the things. It was they were capitalizing and marketing something that was having its moment. You know,
Elves, Kid Rock, Korn.
They were pushing that so hard, and it was about ticket sales to them. It wasn't about the meaning, because if they would have taken the meaning of all the pain and all the vengeance and all the angst and all the things that go into all those types of music, it wouldn't have had the meaning of any Woodstock.
And say isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And naturally, it collapsed under the weight of corporate greed and awful planning. I mean, the organizers crammed 250,000 people onto a sun-scorched tarmac, barely gave them water, and jacked up prices on everything. That's not a festival, it's a scam. Security? Useless. Just underpaid rent-a-cops in Peace Patrol shirts who bailed the second things got ugly. The lineup? One rage-fueled band after another. The outcome? Rage, chaos, and full-on riots. Durst alone could not have started mass violence if the crowd hadn't already been primed for it, and if the environment hadn't permitted it. Limp Bizkit did what they always did, played loud, pushed buttons, and gave the crowd what they came for. And the crowd? They responded exactly how you'd expect. The real failure wasn't on stage, it was behind it. No one in charge had a plan for the chaos, and no one stepped in to curb it.
Could Fred have done something? Could Jonathan have done something up on stage, and Anthony and Flea? Yeah, sure. It's easy to say that now, but in the heat of the moment, are they witnessing what other people are witnessing? They're not right in that crowd with those people experiencing these terrible things. It's really tough to say. I can't speak on behalf of the artist, but...
Today, Woodstock 99 is a blueprint for disaster. Yes, Limp Bizkit is forever part of that story, but blaming them alone is lazy. This was a perfect storm of greed, negligence, and blind rage. A festival set to fail by design. This is a story where the bad guys win because while everyone pointed at Durst, the real crooks cashed out and vanished.